one of my favorite classes because of the challenge. I didn't feel challenged in any of my classes, and because I enjoyed American Studies so much, it was a challenge that I appreciated. Looking back on it now, it became one of the reasons why I want to go into teaching. American Studies made me a lot more confident in my writing because we had the option to share our pieces and our opinions, and I became so vocal in that class. Going into a class that large, because it was a good amount of students, I was really nervous. Just from like a beneficial standpoint, would I benefit from this class? Am I going to be able to concentrate? Am I going to be worried about what everyone else thinks around me? And by the end of the class, I think anyone can vouch for me on this one, but we became like a family.
It is two periods combined. It is kind of, you know, between the English and the social studies perspective of it all. It kind of helps to really elaborate on one point at a time, which I really enjoyed. I thought that was really helpful. There are certain days to me that stick out most in my mind. We spent 2 full hours talking and discussing about the use of the N-word and whether or not that's allowed. And I think in those 2 hours, I learned not only more about myself and about people in the class than I've learned anywhere else. But I was so changed and so moved after those 2 periods, because it's something so revolutionary, something that I've never done anywhere else. We're like, it's such a taboo subject, and we just hit it head on and we addressed it fully, and it was something that I've never been more confident about. And of course, it started off very awkward and uncomfortable at first, but so does reading. You know, reading Huck Finn brings those challenges to the table, and it's cool that this class not only presents you with those challenges, but tells you how to deal with them.
I personally love being a student of American Studies. At first I was very overwhelmed because the class size was so big, but everyone's voice gets heard and everyone's opinion is like valued and heard, and people comment, and you feel like you're not lost and you kind of find yourself along the way. Instead of reading the book and just reading it and then, all right, it's done, you connect it to history and you kind of get more personal with it, and it kind of becomes more important to you and you want to read more and you want to learn more about it. I definitely became a better writer, but I think I also found a lot about myself along the way, about my work ethic, and just kind of through books. Like we read Catcher in the Rye, and that book like really hit close to home, and I learned a lot about myself. We wrote a piece about it and how it connected to our lives, and that was one of my strongest pieces I wrote all year, and I learned a lot from it, and I took a lot away from the class. When I first went in, I was petrified. It was very intimidating. A lot of people, a lot of coursework, a lot of just papers, but if you are willing to do go halfway, like you and Mr. Kramer, whoever teaches the class, will more than meet you halfway, and your classmates are there for you. So in the end, I just learned it's kind of like a family almost. You go in there, it's overwhelming, but you kind of find yourself along the way.
I was a little bit worried about the workload. I was a little bit worried about class size. But spending 2 periods with all these people is you really get to know the other students better. And you get to know the teachers better as well. Having the extra teacher in there to help out really also makes a difference. Because if one teacher is busy, then the other one's probably available or working their way towards you. And so if you need help, you've got 2 resources that you can go to. And they're always right there in the class with you.
Cool.
First, I remember the double period was kind of hard to get used to, but as the year kind of got longer and as we went further into it, the double period kind of really started to make sense because we could cover so much more in one class than what we could in any other class. And it got to the point where in other classes it began to feel like we had too little time to even get into a real depth, you know. Like I learned so much more and had such a deeper understanding of what we went over than I feel like most of my peers who didn't take the American Studies class did. I mean, I really do miss the class, and it was one of the best experiences I've had in school for sure.